Hello students, I'm Amit Gill, clinical microbiologist, and today we are going to study on the blood supply to our brain, or we can call it the circle of Willis or circulus arteriosus. So coming over to the definition or the introduction of circle of Willis, it is such arrangement in which brain is supplied by the blood. Greater amount of blood is provided to brain through the circle of Willis. So the definition is itself, it is telling us about the blood supply to the brain, that the circle of Willis is responsible that all the blood supply, the greater amount of blood supply goes to our brain through the circle of Willis or circulus arteriosus. It is a great part of brain which is supplied by arterial blood by an arrangement of arteries. So this is such a kind of arrangement of arteries that all the blood supply, the greater amount of blood supply is provided to our brain. So now I'm going to make you explain. I'm going to tell you how the circle of Willis or circular arteriosus or the blood supply of the brain, how it works. So coming over to the four large I'm providing diagram also. You can go through the diagram as well as I'm explaining you. There are four large arteries, which contribute in its formation. So these four large arteries known as two internal carotid arteries and two vertebral arteries. So the branches further which come out of the two internal and the vertebral arteries forms circle of Willis. So you can see the two branches coming out of vertebral arteries and branches as well as coming out of internal carotid arteries. So in the diagram you can see that the arteries which are coming out, so the further the branches which are coming out of these vertebral arteries and carotid arteries, they are responsible for forming circle of Willis in our brain, through which the blood is supplied to our brain. Now next, our brain has three arteries present. So brain has anterior part and the posterior part. So in the diagram you can see the upper part of the brain is known as the anterior part and the lower part is known as the posterior part of the brain. So anterior part of the brain consists of anterior cerebral artery. They are right anterior cerebral artery and left anterior cerebral artery. So these are the right anterior cerebral artery and the left anterior cerebral artery. These two parts are a part of the posterior region of our brain, and they are divided in two sides, right and left, which is known as the right anterior and the left anterior cerebral artery. So similarly, posterior part consists of right posterior cerebral artery and other side is left posterior cerebral artery. So these two surfaces are the posterior part of the brain, and the middle part in the diagram you can see the middle or the medial cerebral artery. So which is known as medial cerebral artery, but this middle or medial cerebral artery, it is not responsible for making the circle of Willis. It is not the part of circle of Willis. So the main part which makes the circle of Willis is the anterior and the posterior arteries, anterior and the posterior part. So the anterior and the posterior cerebral artery make up the circle of Willis, whereas the middle cerebral artery is not responsible for circle of Willis. So this is the basic introduction on the circle of Willis and the blood supply to the brain. So any further explanations you need, then you can put your message in the group or in the comment box. I hope this simple concept is very clear with you. Thank you and God bless you.